Carly, and welcome back to my channel. And I'm here with my July currently inked review. Good news, of all those pens, I only have 2 inked still. The other ones I wrote dry. And yeah, let's see. For the Orang-Klingner Santon or Sea Buckthorn in the Jinhao 992. That was a really nice combination. There was a bit of nib creep going on with sort of the ink wandering across the nib, but it didn't really matter that much. It didn't really smear that much. Just trying to find a writing sample. So for it's so light, but it's still extremely readable. So this was a really amazing combination. I think I want to try this ink in another pen, but I think going forward I will sort of try and not really give numbered scores, but just make it simple for myself and say, would I ink it again? Would I not ink it again? A bit like I saw one other channel do this, like very simple yes no thing. I would definitely do this again. Maybe for fall that might, or autumn, that might be a really nice combination. Then one of the pens that are still inked is the Robert Oster Red Bear in my Click Tech fun pen. It's quite a fine nib. I think this is why it's still going. And yeah, this is the entry that I wrote with this pen, and I really like this red. This is basically the red that I was looking for. And again, very readable, but not too dark. It reminds me a bit of Dominant Industry Maple, but it's not quite that. So definitely a good combination. Would ink this up again. Then let me see if I find it. It's always a bit. So then the Mahjong Wankai, the Demonstrator. As you see, I have it inked up with another ink. I wrote this dry quite quickly. The Turandot ink was amazing in this pen so far, and then after it I had to shimmer insing here, and it handles shimmer really quite well. This was the journal entry that I wrote with Turandot and this pen, and yeah, amazing combination again. Would absolutely do it again. That might be a bit boring if you don't have so many sort of objectionable combinations. But the next one is actually one that I had my problems with. This is my Lamy Aeon with Diamine Amaranth. And I know that Amaranth is actually quite a well-flowing ink. So yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. Let me see if I find... So this is a page from my manuscript. And you can see here I had to prime the feed. And I had to do that like every 5 minutes to keep the ink flow going. The last ink I had, I think, in the Lamy Aeon was Aurora and Klingner ink that worked much better, weirdly. So what I did, I think I re-inked this pen once, but not like it didn't fill it up all the time, like to the top, and then I wrote dry and did not re-ink it up, and I don't think I would ink this again. So this is so far a bit of the outlier in the bunch. I think this ink might actually be a bit too dry for the Lamy. This is my only Lamy that I have, and I like the shape, I like the weight of it, but actually the grip section, it looks really nice, but it's actually really slippery. I don't really, it's definitely not my most comfortable writer. When you first sort of pick it up and write with it, it feels amazing. But then after a while, you notice that you actually grip the pen quite hard to keep it from slipping. So yeah, it's such an elegant one, but I'm not quite sure whether it's definitely sort of been thinking about, like so many others, about my pen capsule, and I don't think that's in there, to be honest. What's most likely in there is my palette Kakuno. I had this inked up with Diamond Amazing Amethyst, and this worked amazing. Find you a page. So basically, I'm writing a whole manuscript just in purple inks, and it's great fun. But I think I have one more purple ink to use, and then I'm a bit, yes, here it is. So it works really, really well in this pen. I might try Amaranth in this one next, just to make sure, or actually it is a well-flowing ink. Yeah, one of my favorite purples, I must say. It's truly an amethyst color. Then we have the Dense Pens Ebonite pen that I bought on the Cheltenham Pen Show, that I have since of given the name My Swamp, My Rules, because it has this swampy green color. I really, really like it. It has an elastic fine nib on it. The ink that I have in there at the moment is Schneider Lilac, and that's a bit too dry, I fear. But this is Diamine Jacaranda, which worked really well. It's a lightish ink, but because this is a really juicy nib, it's still very readable. So would absolutely do this again too. Then the other pen that I've still inked up, actually there's one other pen, is my Sailor Pro Gear Slim with Sydney Darling Harbour. Such an amazing ink. I have like a tiny bit left. I used a cartridge, an empty cartridge, and refilled it. And there's sort of maybe a few drops left of ink. So I'm going to write this dry and then choose something new for it. Amazing combination. So yes, would ink it up anytime again. Oh, I didn't show you a page. And because I've been trying to write it dry, yeah, I'm really, really trying to use the ink up and writing a lot with it, and it's a joy. Then we have J. Arbin Le Toit de Paris in my Jinhao 82 dried hydrangea with a medium nib. I don't think I have. I'll find you an entry, because I've inked this up as the accent color for my manuscript. So basically gray, and this is how it comes out. In the beginning I was a bit disconcerted that it was quite light, but I think that was, there might have been some water in the feed, so in time it became much more legible, and I would definitely ink this up again, because this has a medium nib, as I said. With a fine nib I don't think I'd try it, but definitely medium nib. that might also be an ink that I would try in a long blade or maybe in a stub nib. Speaking of stub nibs, the last pen that I've since actually re-inked is my Dens Pens Shelly pen with a 1.1 stub. I've since re-inked it with Jacobin Bleu Azur, which is basically this blue, so that's great fun. But I took care that I only inked it halfway because it took me ages to write the Lady Grey dry. I think that was a holdover from the previous month. And I really have a short ink attention span. So yes, so this was one of the entries I wrote with this pen. I don't think my handwriting looks very legible with a stub nib, even though I like the experience of using it for like paragraphs. So at the moment I'm trying to, especially as I have such a light ink in it, trying to keep it to headers and stuff. But with Lady Grey, absolutely would do this again. It's beautiful, especially with the stub nib. You get some of the sort of more purplish, pinkish shading. I've since realized that some sites classify Lady Grey as a purple ink, but I'm not quite sure whether I actually want to use it in my manuscript as a purple ink. I might do, because it's sort of a grey-purple hybrid. But yeah, I'm not quite sure yet. As I say, I have one more ink to use in that manuscript, which is the very similar to Jacaranda. And then we'll see. I probably just repeat through the colors again and try out a few different combinations. But these were the 9 pens that I had inked for July. One dud, all the other ones performed really well. So I definitely, from all of these, I think my favorites were Sydney Darling Harbour in the Sailor with a 14 karat medium fine nib, and I think the Turandot in the Mahjong Wankai, which is, yeah, I mean, this is a £6 pen. This one is so much more expensive, but in this lineup, they definitely sort of were the top spots, I think. So yeah, what have you found out about your July inks? Were there any big surprises there? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, whatever you feel like. And thank you so much for being a journey of my... and thank you so much for being a part of my pen journey and like the discoveries that I make with every month of using my fountain pens. And then I'll see you soon.